What's up, YouTube? It's Todd Horst here with Tasty Tracker, and this is the moment you've all been waiting for, or at least I know I've been waiting for a while. And that is the 50% review of the account, the small account challenge, to see just some of the basic benchmarks of what's been happening. And so we can see right off the bat here, I've highlighted two rows. Those are the two positions I've lost. And AMGN, I would actually count as a wash. That was a $23 loss, and I closed that only a couple days after I had opened it, 2 weeks. And it was like a day or two later. You can look at the date. I opened it at 5/4 and I closed 5/19. It was like 5/20, 5/21, somewhere in there. I'm too lazy to look. It had actually dipped down, and this position would have or should have been profitable. However, it was a call vertical, a bearish position, and I wanted to take that off the plate since I was bullish at that point, still am at the moment anyway, and I didn't feel comfortable having a bearish position on. So of the 34 trades that I've made so far to get to this point, 2 of those were losers. And if you're a very active trader, you're coming from buying calls and puts. You're thinking 34 trades is not a lot, and it really isn't. But you take the time that I'm on the market and the number of trades that I'm doing, and you just stretch that out, and that's how you get to where I'm at. And the reason I'm stretching that horizon out is to take advantage of theta. So if you're in there actively buying calls and puts, you're probably watching the market all day. And you're probably doing 35 trades in a week or two, and then most likely your account is going all over the place because you don't have the time in the market to I don't know, develop a thesis, take advantage of the movement in the market, but not the minute details. So I want to leverage the macro movements. I don't want to think about the individual day-to-day movement. So just the other day I was having a conversation, and this individual was bringing up, well, what about this week and this next week and then this 2 months from now? And I don't really worry about all of those fine details because I'm having a longer time horizon. If you're doing a large percentage of your account into one position, and maybe you bought a call and it expires next Friday, you have to be very concerned that nothing between now and then happens. Otherwise, your entire position is gone. When you're doing these positions for 1 or 2 or 3 cycles out, ideally all of those combined into one portfolio, then you have less concern about the numbers every Thursday coming out, whether they're favorable to your position and the whims of the market. So anyway, so you'll notice right away I lost 2 positions. I'm not sure what kind of stats you guys are interested in, so I'm just going to throw this spreadsheet out there and open it up. You guys can play with it if you feel like it, but it's not very big. It's only these 34 trades. So the things I was interested in: what are the total amount of commissions I paid, what's the net profit I closed out, and then what's the duration of the trades. So because of Corona, I was specifically concerned with overall, and then what was it past the low. So I open up SPY and I look at the low of the chart. That came on the 23rd of March. So back here, so I highlighted anything I opened up from here, from EWW down. I have one set duration, and then I have a duration overall. And these couple ones here I was putting on long SPY calls, so basically leaps from my perspective, as we were going down, and then once we started to come back up, then I started resuming my normal styles, my normal positions. Okay, so let's jump right to it. The total commissions I paid was $124 for these 35 trades, or 34, and that equates to 4%. If I did the math correctly, which all I did was, I wonder why the formula, oh, I originally did this in Excel and then I imported it into Google Sheets. I took 124 divided by 3481, and that came up with 4%. The total net profit is 34.81. The one gripe, legitimate gripe with my challenge was that I actually started with like just over 2K. It was like it might have been like 200, 2200 or something like that. So next time I will start with a clean account with 0 positions, 2000 on the dot. So that's one takeaway. And this format view freeze 1 row. That's another thing I did in Excel. Okay, so that was the net 3400. The duration, if I take all 34 trades, the duration average was 29 days basically. But if I cut out those first couple trades, especially these two SPY, but if I cut out everything above EWW, these ones, and you can obviously see they're all dramatically longer. Those are ones that these top two were positions I had put on before COVID affected the market, and so I had to hold much longer in order for that to get past a point. Let me go over here. So say I put these on somewhere over here, or even down in here. I had to wait till they came over here in order to close those positions out before they came back into profitability. And obviously, let's go back over here. Obviously, they were profitable. The AMD one, the ETR was way too far gone, and so I closed that position out, but for a loss. But if Corona had not happened, ETR, obviously, who knows, who could predict the future, but chances are ETR would have closed out fine. So then my challenge potentially would have had one loser. But anyway, that's a lot of what ifs. The whole point here, though, is if you take away those long leap calls, my average day count drops by 2 weeks, basically, which I thought is pretty fascinating. My average days in is about 15 days. So I'm talking 2.5 weeks for these trades. So, a lot of people don't understand when you're putting on trades for 45 and 60, 90 days out. A lot of things happen between now and then. I've gotten those comments before too, and that's true. A lot of things do happen. But my goal is not to hold the whole way to expiration. The goal is to hold to 50% before you close it, right? And that typically is only taking 2.5 weeks. But if things really hit the fan and you cannot close out in 50% in 2 weeks, you still have the rest of those 45 days to have that position come back around. So I have so much buffer in there, it's almost crazy. And so yes, you could pull that the expiration closer, but it shifts everything. It's not just that plain black and white kind of thing. So even though my average date, we'll say, is 17 days here, if I were to get 30-day expirations, that changes everything, because the strikes that you can get for the 40% in the money are going to be closer, which means even though it is still using statistics, it's going to break that or be more likely to break that than if you go out the 60 days or 45 days or something like that. But you can just tell by opening up Tastyworks and looking at the say you have what's the company, Apple, and you're looking at the 400 strike for 30 days, then look at the 400 strike for 45, and for 60, look at that same strike, and the percentage in the money will change between expirations. So anyway, hopefully you knew all that. Okay, so the one comment I have there with commissions is I could do all of this on Robinhood, and I actually intend to do my next small account challenge on Robinhood. I checked in with Webull, talked with their support. They still don't have spreads available for me to trade options. They're building those out right now, and they said they'll let me know when it's done, whatever. So while you can trade options in Webull, you cannot do the style of plays that I do on Webull, and so I'm not going to change my style to go to a platform. So Robinhood can do that. And so then the question is, why don't I always do it with Robinhood? To me, it's easier, even as an experienced trader, it's much, much easier and quicker for me to visualize what I need to do in Tastyworks or Thinkorswim. I don't use Thinkorswim, but I have no problems with it. That would be what I would choose if I don't want to go with Tastyworks. But Robinhood, Obviously, it's been said many times, you get what you pay for. To me, giving $124 is worth the effort. And in my opinion, if you're so concerned with commissions, you probably need to change your style of trading. It should not be, you should be making more than $3 per trade. If you're not making more than $3 per trade, then that's crazy. You shouldn't be wasting your time. So yes, I paid $125. Would I want it to be free? Absolutely. But to me, it's worth the cost of doing business. It used to be much more than this. And the tools that Tastyworks and Thinkorswim provide, to me, make the fees worth it. And I'm not going to nickel and dime it and try to get it down to zero. I'm not switching to Robinhood anytime soon as my options broker. I don't mind Robinhood for stocks. I think they're great for stocks. They're very easy to use. And so I can definitely recommend Robinhood for stocks. But if you're doing options, you need to get a better platform. Plain and simple. Okay. So then the next question I had just on myself, how many different tickers did I play? And there were 22 different unique tickers. And so you can see there isn't that much redundancy. Obviously, especially if you follow my other accounts, you can see I have a lot of positions in Microsoft, Apple, Amazon. Those are like my core and Sedge, I would say, where I play those very frequently. But out of 34 plays, to have 22 unique tickers is pretty crazy to me. I would have thought that there would have been something more like 10 or 12, and that's actually something that I'm actively trying to maintain. I want to do less and less tickers so that I can become as intimate with those tickers as I can. And now, obviously, it's a balance. You don't want to have all your eggs in one basket, so then Microsoft crashes and I lose my whole account. But at the same time, you want to be comfortable with where the movement of that ticker is going. And when you spread out over too many tickers, it ends up biting you. Like AMGN, I used to play that one a lot. I threw that one in here, and that was one I lost. ETR, never play it. And that's the one I lost, and that was obviously the biggest loser. $350 I lost on that one. EWW wasn't a good win for me. I played that one before. AMD, this was back when it was still lower priced. I stopped doing that. So even in the 6 months I've been doing this, for the small account challenge, my style has evolved even from the time I started this. So that's obviously one takeaway. You want to constantly change, reevaluate what's working and what isn't working. And I just found myself getting too frustrated with the dollar wides. I think EWW here was a dollar wide. Yeah, 27, 28. And I did 5 contracts because I was doing 500 total positions, $500 size, you know what I'm saying. And so to bring that up to snuff, then I did 5 of those contracts. But not only does that increase my commissions a lot, I think I had to roll there. That's why they were even more. But not only does that increase your commissions a lot, and you would think that would be all set because of getting a better premium to sell that tighter spread, but because the Greeks are so far offset, because they're so close, it really doesn't pay off. So I don't play EWW anymore. I did just open up a new AMD, which I think is the first position I've put in AMD since this one, and that's only because they're up in the $80, $90 range or whatever now. But yeah, so it's crazy to see Square and PDD. Anyway, those are all much higher now. Yeah, so the whole point here is you want to have enough on your list that you can almost always find a good setup, but not so much that you're not intimate with those tickers. And you should really, especially if you have a small account like this, you should really only be putting one position on a day, one position on a week, and not be pushing your account so hard. So if you only have a set of 10 tickers, there might only be one opportunity that presents itself that week, and that's great because you don't want to put all of your money into the market at once. You want to stagger your entries. Okay, so that's really all I wanted to cover on this. In order to facilitate that, I wrote the export feature here, which I won't say is 100% bug-free, but it worked enough to get this out of the database. Certainly, if you have any questions, let me know. But yeah, the biggest, most interesting point here is that my average is about 2.5 weeks. And you might ask why I'm not using the statistics here on Tasty Tracker. Well, I've had this account in various forms for quite some time, for 509 days. So you can see back here, I played around a lot with this account with different strategies, and so some of those were winning strategies, some of those were losing strategies, all while forming my style and writing my thesis. I ended up writing a white paper that's about 50 pages long on my thesis and analysis of market and different strategies, right? So in the process of doing that, I had several accounts that I created here, and this was one of them that I was experimenting with. So if I look here at the average days in, it's not actually as far off as I would have thought, but yeah, it's saying 27 days versus the actual closer to 17 days. Again, if we ignore those couple trades there for those leaps. Yeah, so if you have any questions, let me know, but otherwise I'll leave it there, and I'll talk to you next time. Thanks.